Jesus stepped onto the sun-warmed green hillside outside the village. The large crowd had already gathered. They had walked from surrounding villages all day, their feet dusted with road dirt, their steps slowing as they climbed the slope. No one had planned to stay this long. No one had thought to pack enough food for thousands of hungry people. At first, the talk was quiet, voices rising and falling as people waited for Jesus to speak. The sun climbed higher, beating down on the grass. Stomachs started to growl. Then the first child cried out for bread. Another joined in. Soon, thin, sharp sobs rolled through the crowd from every direction. Parents shifted empty woven bags at their hips, their shoulders tight with helplessness. They rummaged through folds of cloth one more time, even though they already knew what they would find. Nothing. Some parents traded half a handful of dried berries for a sip of water to quiet their crying children. Others herded their little ones closer, hoping sleep would dull the ache of empty bellies. The disciples walked through the crowd, counting heads, and their voices dropped low when they spoke. There was no market within miles, no way to buy that much food, no solution they could see. The hunger hung over the hillside like a heavy cloud, turning anticipation into urgency. A small boy sat on a flat gray rock, half hidden behind a thick bush at the edge of the crowd. He had climbed the hillside with his uncle and slipped away when the crying started. He clutched a rough cloth bundle in his small hands, the fabric stiff from repeated washings. Inside were 5 barley loaves and 2 salted fish. It was his lunch, packed by his mother that morning, tied tight with twine to keep it safe on the walk. He had watched the disciples pass by, heard their quiet talk. They said there was no way to feed this many people. He pressed the bundle tighter to his chest. The crumbs of the loaves pressed through the cloth against his palm. He had not eaten yet. He had been saving it, because he knew the walk home would be long. But the crying carried over the hillside again, thin and sharp, and he shifted on the rock. A disciple walked past, stopped, and looked right at his hiding spot. It was Andrew. Andrew smiled and gestured for him to come out. The boy froze. He looked down at the bundle, then back up at Andrew. He shook his head once, nervous. Andrew walked closer, stepped around the bush, and knelt down to be eye level with him. He said he knew the boy had food, and Jesus wanted to see him. The boy slid off the rock, his bare feet brushing the warm grass. He kept the bundle clutched tight to his chest as Andrew led him through the edges of the crowd. Jesus smiled gently and sat back on the flat stone beside the boy. He leaned forward slightly, his hands open to receive the bundle. The boy's fingers tightened on the cloth for a split second. He glanced past Jesus, out over the thousands of people stretched across the hillside. So many hungry faces, so many crying children. He looked back down at his small bundle. 5 loaves, 2 fish. It had felt like enough for him. Against all these people, it felt like nothing. He swallowed and kept his hands held out. "Give them to me, and we will share them with everyone," Jesus said. His voice was low and steady, calm enough that the boy's hammering heart slowed just a little. The boy untied the coarse twine that bound the bundle, his small fingers fumbling once on the knot. He pulled the cloth open and lifted the 5 loaves and 2 fish out one by one, laying them gently into Jesus' outstretched palms. Jesus cradled the food in both hands and lifted them slowly up toward the bright blue sky. The whole crowd had gone quiet now. No crying, no murmuring. Jesus closed his eyes. The wind stirred the grass at their feet, soft and warm. He blessed the food in a quiet voice. The boy stood still beside him. The whole hillside held its breath, waiting. Jesus opened his eyes. He lowered his hands and set the first loaf on the flat stone beside him. He pulled a sharp knife from his belt and cut the loaf in half. The boy leaned forward, his eyes wide. He expected to see 2 small halves, the whole loaf split into nothing. But when Jesus lifted one half away, the remaining half swelled, filling the space the cut had made. It was whole again, same size as before. The boy's breath caught in his throat. Jesus kept cutting. He split every loaf into small pieces, split every fish into thin portions, and every time he took a piece away, the original food grew back, full and fresh. He stacked the broken pieces in the boy's cloth and passed the full bundle to the first waiting disciple. The disciple took it, turned to walk toward the crowd, and when he looked down, the bundle had grown heavier, brimming with more pieces than he had carried. The disciples passed the food from hand to hand. People formed orderly lines across the hillside, each person stepping forward to receive a portion of bread and fish. No one was turned away. No one went without. Children ran up with outstretched hands, took their pieces, and ran back to their parents to eat. Crumbs dusted chins, laughter broke the quiet, and the food never ran out. The sun dipped slow toward the horizon, painting the grassy hillside soft pink and deep orange. Most people wiped crumbs from their clothes, slung their bags over their shoulders, and walked back down the slope toward the village. Every person smiled as they passed, their steps light, their bellies full and satisfied. The boy stopped running between baskets, wiped sweat from his brow with the back of his hand, and walked back to the flat gray rock where he had sat that morning. He leaned against the cool stone and watched the last of the crowd disappear over the ridge. Jesus stayed beside him, silent, waiting. The boy looked down at the empty coarse cloth that had held his lunch that morning. That small bundle had held 5 loaves and 2 fish, nothing more. Now 12 large wicker baskets sat full to the brim with leftover food, enough to feed another whole crowd. He looked up at Jesus and smiled. He understood what he had been shown. A small gift, given freely with faith, could become enough for thousands. It could create abundance beyond anything he had ever imagined. Sharing what little you have opens the door for more good than you can ever hold.